everyone and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today I have the February 2023 bead box and bag subscriptions that we're going to open up together. If you're interested in signing up to one or both of these subscriptions, you can check out their website for all the details, and that will be located right down below the video in the description section. That'll take you to their page where you can find out the pricing, which can change a little bit depending on how long you sign up, and also the shipping information as well. When you sign up for the bead box subscription, you also get access to their online store, which has a lot of these same items in all sorts of other color and finish options for just $1 a piece. So that's another one of the perks to signing up to this particular monthly box. So let's go ahead and get into this one and see what we have inside this month. And here's that bead bag that we have on the top. That is an $8 a month optional add-on. So if you want to, you can get this one in addition to the bead box subscription. And inside, every month, you're going to find 4 strands of 3mm and 4 strands of 4mm faceted check glass rounds in a variety of different colors, which, as you can see at the bottom of that listing, you can pick up more of at their online store. So it's a great way to sample all different color and finish options and build up your stash of these really versatile beads over time. So I usually start with the 3mm strands and then go to the 4, but it looks like for at least 3 of them, we have the same color and finish options. So I'll show you both of those together, starting with the opaque orange, which is a very, very bright, almost blaze orange shade in the opaque glass with no additional coating or finish on the outside of the glass, just the typical glossy fire polish with the consistent facets all around the outside. Our next selection is in opaque gray. So just like the orange, we have this medium gray tone with no additional finish or wash on the outside this time, just the opaque color in both of the 3 and 4mm sizes. These are the last ones on the list, but they are the same, so I'll show you these together as well. And they're in the jet silver travertine, which have that variegated sort of stone-like quality over top of the jet black glass. You can see the tones of gray, some areas looking a little bit more shiny and silvery as well, so just slightly reflective in that way. And bringing together the black and the gray shades all in the singular strand. And then next for the 3mm, I have the matte jet merrier. So this time we have the matte finish, which tones down the glossy shine on these fire polish beads, especially where you see those extra finishes showing up, like the merrier that gives you those extra tones of metallic finish, not being as reflective, just giving these a little bit of an additional glow in some areas of a lot of the silver, and you can see some areas of gold and bronze and some other colors showing up. And then for the last 4mm strand, I have the jet color, and I should mention that the one before it that we took a look at, which was the jet silver travertine, you could have also gotten alternately the jet silver merrier. So those could be slightly different from box to box, but this last one we have the opaque, classic, glossy jet black with no additional coating or finish. So this is a really interesting combination, and typically in the past, for the most part, we hadn't seen a lot of color coordination, but over the past few months, I've been seeing there is some color coordination going on between the box contents and the bead bag contents as well. So I'm really curious to see as we get into the box contents if they align with the orange and black and gray combination that we have here in the fire polish strands, which is definitely a unique palette. And as we look at the box contents, we also have our insert on the back of which has the listing of everything included in our box this month. And also on the front, we have some information regarding the inspiration behind the contents that we're about to look at and also that we've already looked at. And as it says, they're going by some of the novel fashion pairings with contrasting harmonies, presenting gray as the new neutral color, Pantone's spring colors, including Tangelo, Persimmon, and oyster mushroom. So that's really interesting. I know last year, I think it was, there was a lot of gray combined with bright pops of yellow. I'm getting similar vibes here with the bright orange mixed with the neutral grays and black. Also, you can see their information there below regarding their social media where you can follow along there. And there's an update on some new items you can find in their shop. So again, as we look at the back of this sheet, we have our insert listing everything we're about to take a look at up close, starting with the usual strands. It looks like we have 7 of those to check out, as well as a listing of additional items that we're going to see coming in the bags and a bonus item at the bottom. So here is a peek at our box contents that we will be taking a look at, and it does indeed look like they are following suit with the palette that we saw laid out in the strands from the bead bag this month. So let me go ahead and get organized, and we can check out everything we see here up close one at a time. And we start out with our first strand, which contains the 5x9mm check glass 3-hole spear beads in red orange, which is really neat to see that we're getting in some 3-hole beads in the dollar bead box, which are always going to be a great value when you see any of those multi-hole shapes for just $1 that you can pick up at their shop or that show up in these subscription packages. This definitely has that really bright orange overall appearance. There's some light passing through the glass. And with this particular shape, you have a hole that goes up and down through the center of that more pinched area, and then another hole on either side going up and down through those broader pointed areas. Up next, we have the 4mm check glass Druck beads or pressed glass rounds in crystal merrier. There's 50 beads on this one, and they combine the crystal clear glass with tones of gray and some of those extra pops of metallic showing up in certain spots, overall being a really classic combination that you could add in with these bright pops of orange, of course, or add to a lot of other color combinations. Here's our next very classic strand. These are the pinch beads in the 3x5mm size with the jet black color combination. We have 35 pieces on this strand, and that 3-sided, very regular shape makes these really great for use in bead weaving like beaded beads, but you could also use them in stringing as well, which is the case for most of these items in our strand section and also in that dollar bead bag. We have an additional strand of the pressed rounds or Druck beads, this time in the hyacinth color, also in the 4mm size, very usable, but these are showing up in a very vibrant orange with this time a more yellow undertone. So still bright, just a slightly different shade of this orange color. And we usually see some additional sizes of check glass fire polished rounds come in the box as well, just like this one, which is in the larger 8mm size with the crystal vintage vitriol combination, and there's 16 pieces included. These are really similar to the crystal merrier Druck beads that we saw, with parts of those beads letting the crystal clear glass show through without the additional coating, and then other spots, approximately half of the bead, having the more reflective, deep grayish, vintage metallic coating. Up next is this 7-inch strand of beaded chain containing the gray and jet mixture of check glass beads, which you can take apart using these links separately or just take the beads off altogether if you want to. Or of course you can use this just how it is, combining it with other beads and stringing material. You can see how we do have this mix of some beads being the opaque jet glass, some being grayish with some striations showing up, some being a little bit darker than others. And then we also get the crystal clear variety with some of those white striations showing up. And then our last strand is the one containing 12x14mm check glass starburst beads in crystal with jet. And there's 8 pieces of those on this one. which have that sort of modern starburst like etched design, giving those some inset areas where that black wash settles in and adds the accent over top of the crystal clear glass with these flat ovals and that showing up on both sides of the beads. So I think we're off to a great start, and I'm just loving the color coordination that they're going towards. Before with these subscriptions, it was more of a random sampler mix of all different sorts of colors, not really in a particular scheme. But I really like how the things that we're getting here could be combined easily together to make finished jewelry directly from the box. And this color palette, to me at least, is very unexpected, especially for this time of year. But I also think it's very striking, and I love getting things that are different and unexpected because that's when it can help us think outside the box and put things together in a new and different way. And now that we've taken a look at all those strands, we have our list of additional items to go through. Starting with these larger 8 by 11 millimeter check glass melon beads in jet with silver wash. So we have yet another shape and size of these high quality check glass beads that we find in the boxes each and every month. This time in that ribbed melon shape, which has the silver wash outlining those ribbed sections in these mainly round beads that are slightly compressed. And I also want to remind you, I have a tutorial where I show you actually how to use these beads as a base and create a embellished beaded bead with this exact shape and size, sometimes being known as the pumpkin beads. Here's our second bag containing 4 of the 10 millimeter check glass tabular squares in the Tangelo Topaz mix. These are so fun, and they all look just slightly different because they've got different concentrations of colors and striations showing up in those crystal clear glass beads with the bright pops of orange, yellow, and even a little bit of maroon showing up that are banding across these squares. In the next bag, we have 4 pieces of the 10 millimeter pewter geometric flat round beads. And these have the design that is on both sides of the spacer beads that we see here in this round disc-like shape with the hole going up and down through the center, just slightly raised in the center where that hole is located. And these giving us a little bit of metallic to work with along with our glass, which we see occasionally mixed in with our beads in the form of spacer beads and other findings. Sometimes we also get some stringing materials, semi-precious stone items. So you'll see some of those accents mixed in as well down in this particular section. We also have some more fire polish beads, this time in the 5 millimeter size and the crystal clear variety. So now we have an additional size of the faceted fire polish rounds in the classic crystal clear. And these happen to not be on the strand, but they've included, it looks like 25 pieces in the package. Looks like there's a couple of Swarovski items that are showing up in our box still. We have first the crystal copper color margarita bead in the 12 millimeter size. And it's fun to see a little bit of Swarovski crystal popping up still because we don't see those as much anymore. This one having the beautiful cut floral shape, the holes going through the center, and that definite orangey copper color overall. Next is a bag containing 40 pieces of matte jet colored check glass pressed druck beads in the 4 millimeter size. So this is our third selection of the 4 millimeter round glass druck beads, which balance out some of the other shapes that we've taken a look at that are a little bit more irregular or different, and some things that we're about to see, giving us a really classic round shape in that very usable smaller 4 millimeter size, And you can see these have the matte coating, so they don't have the glossy outer look, but instead have that frosty matte effect. We have this additional multi-hole shape in the crystal check glass 2-hole crescents. These are a 7 by 16 millimeter size, and we have 6 pieces included. And you can see the hole placement on these curved beads. They've got that arc shape with a hole going up and down either side. Reminded me slightly of carrier beads, but maybe just more of like a carrier bead that's been cut in half and you only have one side that's curved out like that. But a similar shape and hole placement. And then we have another metallic accent in the form of a tiara cast check rosette button that's in the antique silver plating and a 12 by 12 millimeter size. So another sweet high quality tiara cast item. You could use this as a button clasp. It's in a sort of dainty 12 millimeter round size. There's a look at the back and that top where you can see all those little dotted details and the implied floral shape. In our next bag, we find a pair of the etched black with gold check glass meteorites in the 13 millimeter size. So these meteorite beads have a chunky and more organic shape to them and are definitely substantial enough on their own where they could be incorporated, I would say, in a pair of earrings and hold their own just as they are, sort of being the focal piece. This combination you can see has that golden dusting that appears to be sprayed over top of that opaque jet black and that single hole going through the center of the bead. And then next, for another fun and interesting shape, we have the check glass elephants in gray with gold, 4 pieces in the bag of these 10 by 15 millimeter sized beads. And I love how the check glass beads, when they're pressed like this, they're definitely like 3-dimensional. We get the design showing up on both sides. And that's the case with these. I have one that's tipped up so you can see it from the top down. And they do have the opaque gray glass overall at the base with that hint of gold metallic that's washed in and bringing out some of those additional details. And you can see that hole placement there going from the front of the elephant at the trunk area to the back. And then last, before our bonus item, we have a 14 millimeter Swarovski 5811 pearl, and it says the color could vary and there's 1 piece included. This again being substantial enough, it could be used on its own. And I just still love the Swarovski crystals so much with the way they imitate actual freshwater pearls and the weight that they have with the crystal interior underneath the coating. And mine happened to come in this light peach color, which is a nice complement to some of those brighter oranges and our neutral gray tones. And just looking at everything laid out, I also happen to notice how this Swarovski bead is actually a very similar shape and size to that tiara cast button. So that's kind of cool how those could complement each other. So that's everything for our main contents, but we do have something listed in the bonus section, which is another fun mix. We've seen these show up in the past few months. And this bag contains 20 grams of the matte gunmetal and bronze check glass metallic mix, which I'm going to sort out a little bit for us so we can take a look at everything outside the bag and see which beads are really in here that will be easier to see. So first we have some of these 2-hole beads included. One of the shapes are the chili beads that have that sort of flower petal shape and the curve and the 2 holes there at the top of that wider area. And then these other ones that are a rounded rectangular shape. We also have some of those T-shaped beads, some of the 1-hole daggers, and then some of those 1-hole curved beads. I think they might be called the angel wings. And you can see with these in my hand the varieties that come in that particular gunmetal metallic mix, with some of those beads having more of a warmer metallic tone and some having that cooler grayish color. And then here are some additional shapes. We've got those elongated rectangular beads. And those 3 beads are really the only ones that came in the mix that don't have matches to their shape. And they are a little bit chunkier, like the wavy disc style. And then the 2 that are a little bit chunkier, one with that more organic shape, looks like maybe one of the meteorites, and then another in the roundish shape with a little bit of a larger band around it. And then we finished that up with a selection of our different types of spike beads. We have the ones with the rounded bottom, the ones with the square bottoms, both of which having the hole located toward the wider end. And then those triangular style beads with the hole going up and down through the center, similar to a pyramid shape with maybe the top point sliced off there a little bit. And these mixes adding a very welcome bonus in my opinion, because they give you additional check glass shapes to add into the bead bag and box contents over and above the larger quantities in some cases of the different bead shapes. And for most of these, they have multiples of the same shape, so you're not getting one-offs of everything included. And that wraps it up for this month's February 2023 bead box and bag contents, with this very sort of city chic fashion palette, I'm going to call it, in lots of coordinating tones, but a lot of neutrals as well that could be added in with other color combinations or kept neutral in tones of gray and black. This is also a great way to sample items that you can find in their online store, which, like I said, you can find in these strands and bags. In these and also some other color and finish combinations for just $1 a piece. Especially with the check glass strands, they've got so many of those that you can look through, which again, you have access to do if you are a subscriber. So I hope this video was helpful for you and you were able to check out yet another subscription option to see if this one is right for you. I'm always so glad to have you here, so thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this box or the palette or anything you'd like to say down below. Also, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe while you're here because I'd love to have you back. That's all I have for now. I hope to see you again real soon, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.